G'day viewers, how are you? We've made it to the end of another weekend and, well, yeah, it has been a pretty totally fucked up week, quite honestly, in, both good and bad ways. Good when I think someone who I don't like is having a fucked up time. Bad when I think, things are just fucked up. But, the political game is pretty funny. It gives and it takes away, and there's been some interesting things both in local Australian politics and international politics. Locally, of course, my favourite person in Australian politics, Tony Abbott, has been doing his usual. And when I say favourite person, I mean horrible piece of shit who I despise, but favourite because he's fucking up his own party out of pure spite, which is hilarious, and I love every minute of it. And he has the capability of saying, I'm not trying to cause trouble, but fuck that guy. And this week he's given a speech to some Liberal Party members saying, like, you know what? All the rank and file should rise up because it's not good enough what Malcolm Turnbull's doing. He's betraying the conservative soul of the party and you should rise up. And it's gotten really weird to the point where virtually everyone in the government has spoken up and said, shut the fuck up, Tony. And so I think as delusional as Abbott is, he couldn't possibly be maintaining the delusion that he will once again be leader. I think he's literally just trying to fuck up Malcolm Turnbull. And I can understand why, because Turnbull fucked him up, and also because Abbott's a deranged narcissist who can't possibly conceive that he could be anything less than brilliant, despite the fact the Australian public made it really clear with like 40 surveys in a row saying, no, we think you're fucking shit, Tony, which is why his own party moved against him. Mind you, Malcolm Turnbull's halfway to an equal number of negative reviews, and so Abbott feels justified in attacking Turnbull. So Abbott's not going to replace him, and I think even Abbott, with his level of delusion, knows that. So what is it? We're going to get Peter Dutton, who I may have mentioned before, does a good impression of a barely sentient potato, and he's a former Queensland drug cop. Now, if you don't know Australia, states and police, whatnot, Queensland drug cop is as synonymous with corrupt, evil fucker as you can get. Now, personally, I'm quite convinced Peter Dutton is the only Queensland drug cop in history who's not corrupt, who's not a bigger fucking criminal than the drug dealers. I'm sure if his background was delved into, there's no way we'd find out he was an evil, violent, corrupt prick. No, that wouldn't happen. Just because the way he behaves in government, with how he treats refugees and various other people he doesn't like, I mean, just because that is absolutely synonymous with a violent thug, I mean, I jest. I mean, I say, yes, Queensland cops are renowned for being corrupt. Drug cops anywhere in the world are renowned for being corrupt. And just because, as I say, Dutton is a former Queensland drug cop, he probably doesn't have terrible, corrupt, criminal, violent shit in his history that's been hidden from us. I'm sure that's not the case. He'd be a wonderful Prime Minister. I mean, for fuck's sake, he'd be, in terms of destroying the Liberal Party, he'd be a close second to Abbott. If he was made leader of the Liberal Party, they would not only lose the next election, as people were horrified by the idea of this prick being Prime Minister, they'd be out for ages, I think. So, Tony Abbott, while still being a colossal prick, does remain my favourite person in Australian politics because he's destroying his own party. And, I find that humorous. And I mean, speaking of right-wing pricks in Australia who I can't fucking stand, Andrew Bolt, a hack who writes for a Murdoch shit rag. Yeah, I've talked about him before many times, notably when he lost a discrimination suit under the notorious 18C of the Anti-Discrimination Act, where people go, oh, free speech, free speech. And you've got to kind of point out to them, the only reason Bolt lost that court case is the judge really pointed out he's lying. He's not speaking in good faith. If he had been reporting news accurately, if what he had said was in the public interest, he couldn't have been found guilty. But the judge said, you're saying stuff that's not true, so you don't have that as a defense. Now, similarly, this week, there was the resolution of a case of Bolt v. a human rights lawyer who had been working pro bono for refugees trying to seek asylum in Australia, and Bolt had written all these screeds about, oh, the refugee lobby, and basically said, you know, this guy's lying. The people he's representing aren't desperate refugees. This is all a scam on the Australian people. And surprise, surprise, the lawyer went, actually, you're defaming my character by saying that, and I'm not putting up with that, and I'm taking you to court. And so he won, and Bolt and the Murdoch rag appealed, and it finally got settled this week, a judge finding in favour of the human rights lawyer. And I honestly think, when I saw this I thought, okay, if there's a question of truth between human rights lawyer doing pro bono work and evil, shit-eating, muck-raking prick from a Murdoch rag, I mean, who do you think's going to be telling the truth? Well, thanks to the court, we know, beyond any doubt, it was the human rights lawyer. Surprise! And even still with the judge saying, I'm finding in this guy's favour and you have to pay his legal costs, and then there's the secret part of the settlement. We're not allowed to know. I mean, you know, secret settlement, that, and News Corp are actually saying, see, it didn't go to court and we weren't found guilty, so he's not guilty. It's like, the judge did actually find for the human rights lawyer, said you have to pay his costs, plus the secret part of the settlement. I mean, you know, just historically, those type of things tend to be, we'll pay you a lot of money if you never speak of this again. Then you don't have the hassle and time of going to court. Big truckload of money, but you're never allowed to say, we gave you a big truckload of money. Now, I don't know if this is what's happened in this case, because it's secret. I'm just talking about what's usually behind these secret deals. Secret doors, there could be a door, there could be a whole room. They could have given him a whole room of money. It could be like a whole Scrooge McDuck affair. This lawyer can now dive into a room full of money. That could be it, but it's a secret, so we'll never know. But we will know that, you know, if you needed to be told when it comes down to a question of truth between a human rights lawyer doing pro bono work and a horrible, shit-raking, garbage troll of an excuse of a human who spews bile for a Murdoch rag, there's a safe bet whose side you should be on. But yeah, that's Australia. And there is, of course, the world, and most of the world's been still taken up with the Trump saga. Of course, the President of the United States, most powerful political office in the world, used to be respected too. Now it's just become a running fucking joke and a bad taste joke of people going, okay, trust. When world leaders start explicitly saying Trump's untrustworthy and we've got to work without him, you know, it's pretty bad. There was the humorous side where the Japanese First Lady apparently faked not being able to speak English so she wouldn't have to talk to Trump. I mean, wow, everyone's been playing the weird handshake game with him. They're all sick of his bullshit trying to rip your arm out handshake. So everyone has their own way of fucking with him, like faking him out or holding him so he can't do it. But now you've got, yeah, the wife of the Japanese Prime Minister pretending she can't speak English so she doesn't have to be around him alone. I mean, speaking of not speaking the language, the weirdest, like, the whole furor around Trump. Oh, has he been colluding with her? Yes, he has. It's you can't possibly think he hasn't been colluding with the Russian, because now all these defenders are going, well, what's wrong with that? Which, you know, mind blown. They've gone from didn't happen to I don't remember what happened to okay, it happened, but it's not bad, and what are you going to do about it anyway? Well, there is still the special prosecutor, Robert Mueller, looking into it. But the weirdest thing that came out for me this week, there was the story that at the G8, G20, G8, there's so many G's in these world things, the G20 conference, Trump had a secret, previously undisclosed meeting with Putin where there were no American representatives, including no American translator. It was just Trump, Putin, and a Russian translator. So you're in this meeting where Trump is completely at Putin's mercy. He's got no power to... This is one of the things I don't get. Trump supporters do this big macho thing. He's the real man. He's leading the country. He's like, this typifies Trump. He is a spineless fucking wimp. He's Putin's bitch. He's got nothing. He's a weak, pathetic loser that other world leaders are treating like a fucking joke. And the stories even came out this week. Trump starts doing one of his ridiculous fucking tweet storms about, oh, I can pardon people. You know, because clearly he's starting to get incredibly nervous about the investigation because nothing's breaking his way. Everything's going against him. So he's going, I can pardon people. And there's the implication that he could even pardon himself. So, well, the way it works, the US president can pardon just about anyone of a federal crime. And it's happened. I mean, Nixon got pardoned by Ford, which is a big reason a lot of people think Ford lost the subsequent election. But the president can pardon people from almost any federal crime. So, yes, as corrupt as his whole group may be, all his cronies and family may be, he could pardon them, no matter if they're convicted, but he would have to still be in his role. And who knows what it would take for Republicans to finally grow a spine, or maybe the American voting public at the next midterm election to swing their vote enough so the Democrats could actually have some leverage. But the idea that Trump could pardon himself. Now, I don't think that's ever been tested. A lot of legal experts are going, I don't think so. That's a bit much of a stretch. But Trump is, of course, in his own little world. Who knows? Like I said, I refuse to predict what's going to happen. I look at what's happening and I go, I can't conceive of a future where Trump and his family and his cronies aren't all found guilty of something serious, but everything's so fucking weird, I refuse to predict what will happen. Unlike a bunch of weird people you see online, it's not just right-wingers who say dumb shit. You get these left-wingers online who just keep saying, oh no, I've just been reliably informed, a sealed warrant has been delivered, you know, Trump's going to be arrested this week. No, he's not. He absolutely isn't. People just keep spouting this shit, and I don't know it's because they think, well, if I keep saying it, I will eventually be right. There might be something to that. Or they've just looked and go, you literally don't need to tell the truth anymore. You don't need to be analytical. You don't need to suffer any repercussions, because there are no repercussions. You just go for the clickbait. Just clickbait. This is definitely happening. Trump's getting impeached. Trump's getting an indictment. So people just talk shit without worrying about the repercussion of being wrong. Who knows? But, you know, when you see things like the number of people in his administration who are getting private legal counsel, or when people are losing their jobs, like, oh, when Sean Spicer went this week, wasn't that a turn-up? His sad press secretary who fucking defended all the insane shit he's been doing. How do you let someone like that go? That, you know, freaks me out. We see the people, his family, his administration, to me they seem so unreliable, and I believe the stuff they've been doing is so blatantly illegal, one of them's gonna crack. This is how law enforcement works. You get someone who's a bit lower down the chain and go, okay, here's the incontrovertible evidence, you're going away, but we don't really care about you, but if you help us get the next up the chain, we'll go easier on you. That's how cops do drug dealers, that's how they do tax frauds, and that's what's going to be happening in the Trump administration. So I imagine they're all hyper paranoid. They're wondering who's going to break first, who can do the biggest deal. When someone like Spicer goes, because Trump decided to appoint this guy's name's Scaramucci, and everyone finds it really hard to resist Bohemian Rhapsody references about Scaramucci doing the fandango, but he was appointed to a role senior to Spicer, and apparently Spicer went to Trump and said, no, 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 him or me, and Trump goes, you. So just shitting on people like that when you're obviously a fucking criminal blows my mind, because the number of people who will be seeking revenge or seeking a defense seems to be growing every day. And that doesn't seem to be penetrating that whatever is on top of Trump's head. You know, it's not hair, it's not, I don't know, it's a small animal, whatever it is. But Trump doesn't seem to realize how much he's fucking up. Like, even his tweets. You talk to any defense lawyer anywhere, and even if you're innocent, the first thing they tell you is shut the fuck up. You do not speak on this. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Trump is under one of the most serious investigations a US administration has ever been under, and he won't fucking shut up. Like, the prosecution will end up just playing back his own tweets and press conferences to convict him if he goes to court. It's so bizarre. It's so hard to wrap my head around. But that guy who replaced Sean Spicer, this is how weird it's gotten. Like, he's in the senior role, and everyone's going, oh, look, he's deleting his old tweets, you know, to avoid embarrassment. And you think, oh, is he like Trump? Has he got old tweets about, you know, grabbing pussies or being really racist or whatnot? This is how weird it's gotten. This guy, the type of thing he's trying to hide now, he's actually on record as being pro-Hillary Clinton, pro-gun control, very much talking about the seriousness of climate change and how much action's required. And he's just sort of, you look at his history and it's almost anything Trump said, this guy is on the record as having the opposite position. And now he's Trump's main media guide is like, I can't even wrap my head around how dysfunctional this bunch of freaks are. Like I said, it's got to go down. It's got to go down in a screaming heap, a huge smouldering ruin where they'll sift through the ashes to try and work out just how fucked these people are. But whether the office of US president will ever recover, whether the world will ever recover from this sort of fuckery, I don't know, because you just look at it and it's seriously totally fucked up.